We're taking the guesswork out of one of the most expensive parts of your Disney World trip. Eating. Yeah, we're the Disney food vlog, so it makes sense, but we've got some surprises on the list of Disney World restaurants practically everyone loves, and some they all seem to hate. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Vlog. You know what I always say, the most consistent thing about Disney food is that it's inconsistent. The best restaurants in Disney World, TM, change all the time. It all depends on menu, chefs, servers, and more variables. And there are lots of different opinions about which restaurants are worth your money. But I'm going to share 15 restaurants that just about everyone can agree are worth at least one visit, and 9 that for some reason are on a lot of your no thanks lists. So settle in, don't forget to tell us in the comments what you think about our list, and let's get started. First up, Nomad Lounge. Located in Disney World's Animal Kingdom on the river right between Pandora and Discovery Island, you'll find the squat rotunda that is Nomad Lounge. This is the lounge for Tiffin's restaurant, so I guess you could argue it's not really a restaurant, but hey, they serve drinks, they serve food, you sit down, you get served, it's a restaurant. And it's absolutely worth a visit all on its own. The outside porch seating is going to remind you of that time you were on safari in Africa and took tea out on the porch of your safari hut or whatever. I don't know, but it kind of feels like a spa out there. I've never been on safari, but all of you have, right? Now, when I first saw it, I basically said I was ready to live there. So yeah, it's nice, it's comfortable, it's upscale. Inside, you're going to find plenty of generous, comfortable seating as well, and the whole place has a very relaxing vibe. Going there is almost like transporting yourself out of a theme park for an hour, and everyone gets mad when I talk about it because they want this secret spot to stay their secret so it doesn't get overrun, so sorry. But I love you, so of course I'm going to tell you about it. The decor is themed around nomads, of course, travelers, and when you're there, you should feel smart and rugged and important because you are. You found one of the best secrets in Disney World. The drink menu includes several exclusive drinks. We like the Watermelon Forward Hightower Rocks, mostly because it's named after Harrison Hightower III, who of course is the owner of Tokyo Disney Sea's version of Tower of Terror, and a member of the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, and of course, actually Joe Rohde. And we also like the Mustang Coffee because it's got butter and Crown Royal. And the Kungaloosh exclusive beer. It's called Kungaloosh Spiced Excursion Ale Draft. And it's made with sorghum and cinnamon and cardamom. And it's just a real spicy, real nice bottle that you can only get in Animal Kingdom. And there are also some very unique eats here. Things change pretty often on the menu, but 2 items that are nearly always available are that Tiffin's bread service, which is delicious, and the gluten-free churros with dipping sauces. Now, if you thought you loved churros, you're gonna really, really love these. I wasn't sure about gluten-free churros, but they're actually denser, and it's almost like you're eating cake. It's really good. Anyway, there's also a full kids menu too, so don't worry about this being a lounge. Your kids are perfectly welcome. I've seen lots of kiddos napping on the various couches in Nomad Lounge. All right, next on my list, Wine Bar George. Okay, you all know how I feel about Wine Bar George in Disney Springs. This is more than just a wine bar, and it was launched in 2018 by George Miliates, who's a master sommelier and a former wine curator. I don't know what his actual title was, but he was large and in charge at California Grill in Disney's Contemporary Resort. Now, how in the world is a wine bar on the list of best restaurants in Disney World? Well, 2 reasons, in my humble opinion. First, a dedicated proprietor, and second, an utter lack of pretension. You'd think a wine bar would be stuffy, nose in the air, humiliating for people who know less than nothing about wine like me, and maybe a lot of wine bars are like that, but this one is not. The servers are down to earth and friendly. There's an incredible food menu, and they even have a wine tasting menu. You can order by the ounce. Want to try one of the most expensive wines on the menu but don't want to pay for a full glass? Want to try 5 different kinds of wine at once? Yep, their by the ounce menu is the perfect way to literally get a taste of whatever you'd like to try. And please feel free to ask any questions you have. All of the servers are trained to help you find the right wine for you if you're choosing to imbibe, and they're all very knowledgeable in a totally approachable way. That's not what you usually find at a wine bar. But, of course, you don't have to drink wine if you don't want to. And that food menu I mentioned, how many wine bars have you been to that have mac and cheese bites on the menu? And they are seriously fancy and really, really good mac and cheese bites. I also love the steak here. Brunch is killer. Don't forget the Dole Whip Frescato, which is Dole Whip and Moscato. It's smoothie kind if it's real good. And do you really want me to talk about the saganaki on fire again? Really? Because I will. I really, really will talk about a big old hunk of cheese that they set on fire and bring to your table so you can just eat a big old hunk of cheese all by yourself. Wait, you're supposed to share it? And you're not supposed to order another big hunk of flaming cheese to eat all by yourself when that one is gone? Are you sure? Okay. All right, next on our list, Takumi Tay. Welcome to a truly refined cultural explosion of amazingness, my friends. We're headed to Takumi Tay in Epcot's Japan Pavilion. You should eat here if you love Japan, you love sushi, you love Japanese culture, you love cool, quiet, controlled excellence, and you are totally up for a serious tea service, and you have 4 hours to spare, and you want to spend a lot of money on all of the above. Yep, this is the new signature dining experience in Japan, but it's not just signature dining. This is the upper echelon of fancy and expensiveness. There are 4 public dining rooms here, each themed to an element: wood, earth, stone, or washi paper. And there's also a private dining room, the chef's table, in the water room that you can book ahead of time for 6 to 8 guests at $180 per person. This is a prefix 3-hour meal. Now, in the regular dining rooms, choose from an abundance of Japanese delicacies. You'll get to choose from a la carte menus or multi-course tasting menus, but be prepared to pay for it in both time and money. This can easily be a multi-hour meal, so it's not for the faint of heart or stomach. Takumi Tay is not open right now, but keep an eye on the DFB newsletter for updates when it does reopen. Next on our list, Victoria and Albert's. Okay, this is the other side of the Takumi Tay coin. Victoria and Albert's is one of Central Florida's only AAA 5-diamond restaurants. That means it's really, really good and really, really fancy, and all the smart people about food say that it's really, really good. And you'll find it in Disney World's flagship hotel, the Grand Floridian Resort. Once again, you're going to drop an arm and a leg to dine here, probably in the $200 to $400 range per person. Now, you can choose to dine in the regular dining room, the exclusive Queen Victoria room, or the ultra-exclusive, only 1 party per night, chef's table in the kitchen. Now, I've talked about it before, but I do love the chef's table experience. To me, it's less stuffy and more fun to interact with the chefs as they create the menu for the evening. But many like to dine in the elegance and glamour kind of the dining room or the Queen Victoria room. Now, no matter where you sit in this fine restaurant, you will be treated to a truly exquisite experience. This is the choice of honeymooners, anniversary celebrators, and other happy parties, but note that this location does have a strict dress code and all patrons must be at least age 10. Also, don't forget to budget for your water menu. Yep, there's a water menu here, and some water costs lots of money. Now, Victoria and Albert's is also not open at the moment, so keep an eye on our newsletter. All right, next on our list is Jiko. Jiko, favorite Disney date night restaurant of locals and tourists alike. This cozy spot at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge is true rustic elegance. Now, the decor reflects cultural and tribal stories from Africa. You can ask your server to explain them to you. I've talked about them on the channel before, and I don't want to bore you guys. My favorites are the lucky birds on the ceiling and the neck rings on the pillars around the restaurant, but there's lots going on in here. Also, pay attention to the back wall of the restaurant while you're dining. It will slowly change colors to mimic an artificial sunset throughout the evening. The menu at Jiko is a lot of fun, and it plays with ingredients you may not have tried before, from boar and elk to traditional African side dishes. But my favorite, fortunately or unfortunately, is the filet with mac and cheese. I know, but really it is delicious. And if the mac and cheese is not on the menu as the side dish, just ask your server for it. They always have it in the back. Again, this restaurant's on the pricey side, not as bad as Takumi Tay or Vic and Al's, but still you probably want to set aside somewhere in the $100 to $200 range if you plan to order wine with dinner. Also, my only complaint about Jiko is, you know it, right? The banquette seating. If I'm spending that much, I don't want to be sitting right next to a stranger, so you can always request non-banquette seating. It's never guaranteed, but you can always request it. Now, Jiko's not open at the moment either. Be sure to check our newsletter. All right, next we're going from the super fancy restaurants to the probably least fancy restaurant in Disney World. We're talking about Chicken Guy next. Finally, a more affordable restaurant on the list. Chicken Guy, ! is the brainchild of Chef Guy Fieri, and no matter how you feel about him, this place is fire. Its focus is chicken tenders, both breaded and grilled, and of course an entire menu of sauces. There are hundreds. JK LOL, there are 22, but it's a lot. Now, the menu here is short but solid. Salads, sandwiches, chicken tenders, mac and cheese, shakes, street corn. Basic but great. I've never been disappointed eating here, and I've made pilgrimages here regularly. I've chosen to eat here when I was able to choose anywhere at all in Disney World to eat, so that's really saying something. And I even go here by myself alone so I can eat and just be happy with my meal and not have to talk to anybody. Do you guys do that? No? Okay. Well, seating is minimal here and it's mostly outdoors, but that's my biggest complaint. And my favorite sauce is the buffalo sauce, naturally. Oh, and when I said affordable, I meant it. Chicken Guy, ! Was created with your wallet in mind, but in a good way. Dining here is not a ripoff. That can sometimes be hard to find in Disney World. And the reason why I keep saying ! Is because Chicken Guy has an ! After it in the sign. All right, moving on to Yorkshire County Fish Shop. Look at that, another relatively affordable spot on our list. This Epcot United Kingdom Pavilion staple is the simple choice of plenty of fish and chips fans. It's a stand with some outdoor seating, but it's a tradition for a lot of you. I know that's the case. The menu is tiny: fish, chips, chicken and mushroom pasty. Pasty? How do you say that? Let me know. Sometimes a dessert. So at least you're not worrying over the choices for hours, and the meal is filling, savory, and classic. Grab an ale or a lager, take a seat by the water, and relax for a spell, just what the doctor ordered during a busy Disney World day. All right, moving on to Caramel Kucha. Did I say it right? Probably not. Let me know in the comments. This one's in Germany in the Epcot World Showcase, and it is all about Werther's caramel. You guys don't like how I say that either. I just say caramel. I don't know. I'm sorry. All right, I'm going to stop talking about that because I've mentioned it on a lot of videos, don't I? Anyway, everything's Werther's caramel here. Basically, everything in the sort of bakery case is delicious, and you are going to have a really hard time deciding. So you might budget to buy like 4 or 5 things and share them among your family, or just take them home and put them in your bag and eat them by yourself. We already talked about that. Okay, we love the caramel corn. It's really, really, really good. I don't know why it's so good, but it is. The salted caramel chocolate square, the caramel apple cookie, salted caramel chocolate cupcake. That one's probably my favorite. And the caramel butter bar, the caramel pecan bar. I could go on and on and on. Like I said, just about everything here is good. The only negative to what you buy is if something else in the case is a little bit better than that. So everything's good. Now, if the caramel corn goes a little stale before you get home, just pop it in the microwave for a few seconds. And here's another big tip. Annual pass holders, you can use your merchandise discount here since this is considered a merchandise location. So getting a discount on caramel corn? Yes, please. There's no seating here. This is more kind of a grab and go, more of like a candy store or bakery kind of situation. All right, moving on to France in Epcot's World Showcase. We're going to talk about Layal. You didn't think we'd talk about it? Of course we're going to talk about it. This is in the France Pavilion in Epcot. Like I said, this is authentic, fresh French pastries, baguettes, sandwiches, soups, macarons, and more. You can indulge in a mimosa for breakfast here before you start your Epcot day, or get lobster bisque and a bread bowl for a super incredible lunch. My favorites here are the ham and cheese baguette, because it reminds me of living in Switzerland when all I could afford were train station deli counter sandwiches. And of course, the ham and cheese croissant here is great. I love the frangipane, and I'm not gonna lie, I'll eat just about any sweet thing in this case. There is quite a bit of indoor seating and a tiny bit of outdoor seating, but both of them go fast during meal times, especially breakfast. Did I mention the mimosas? Yeah, there are mimosas. All right, next on our list, Trader Sam's Grog Grotto. This is at the Polynesian Village Resort. It's another lounge. Very, very small. There's only room for a few dozen patrons at one time here, and it's themed to a tiki hut, kind of a cross between Ohana and the Jungle Cruise. Trader Sam was a character from the Jungle Cruise, by the way, and his whole backstory is represented in the Trader Sam's Tiki Bar and Trader Sam's Grog Grotto on the West and East Coast, respectively. Once you snag a seat here, which can be tough since the wait is often long, especially on weekends, if you're daring enough to actually get up and walk around, you'll spy hundreds of themed decor elements. Some of these come to life depending on what drinks are ordered too. Order the fire-bedecked Oa and you'll awaken the Tiki Goddess. Order the Krakatoa and you'll be treated to a volcano eruption through the window. There's a small but delicious food menu, so bring your appetite for at least an appetizer. This is a place to get into the vibe and have fun. If you're boring or kind of a party pooper, don't go here. But none of you watching this channel are boring or party poopers, so you're obviously welcome at Trader Sam's. Oh, and there are plenty of souvenir cups here. They're super expensive, so if you don't want to purchase one, just tell them you want only the drink. It will still come in the specialty cup, but you won't get to bring it home unless you actually buy it. Now, Trader Sam's sadly is not open either. This is of course due to COVID protocol, so watch our newsletter. We'll let you know when it opens. Okay, next up, we're headed to Hollywood Studios for Baseline Tap House. This is, like I said, in Disney's Hollywood Studios. It's in the old location of the Writer's Stop, and that spot before that was Ellen's by the Book. So if you're old school MGM folk, that's where that location is. Now, it's themed to a printing shop, which carries the bookstore and writing theme through the location. Thanks, Imagineers. And if you look closely at the shelves, you'll actually see the letters from the old Writer's Stop sign peppered throughout the shelves. So being a tap house, you're of course treated to several brews as well as wine and other drinks, but there's also a small but mighty food menu, including an affordable and recommended charcuterie board, as well as a giant gourmet pretzel with cheese. Seating is indoor and outdoor, but there's much more seating to be had outdoors than indoors here. And this is where all the cool kids go to wait for their Rise of the Resistance boarding passes to open up. So if you want to be a cool kid, this is what you're supposed to do, I guess. That's what they tell me. All right, going into Galaxy's Edge, speaking of boarding passes, we're going to talk about Oga's Cantina. Now, this is not a great option for food. I'm going to be straight up with you, even though we're talking about restaurants. There are only about 2 or 3 food items, and one of them is a spiked Jell-O shot, and one of them is a super weird charcuterie with string cheese on it. But the real draw is just seeing inside the cantina itself. You listen to Rex of Star Tours fame, he's the DJ, and enjoy the drinks. Now, the cantina is popular. Anybody seen that musical? I have, and it's tiny. It's probably the toughest reservation to get in Disney World right now. So if you want to go, make your booking 60 days out, and I'm talking like 6 a.m. 60 days out because it's going to sell out. Right now, that number could change back to 180 days anytime. Keep an eye on our newsletter. That's where we'll tell you. Okay, let's talk about those drinks. First thing to note, there are alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. Second thing, they're all space themed. Third, they're all pre-mixed. Yep, no full bar here. Want to order a dirty martini or a whiskey straight up? You got to head over to Brown Derby Lounge, my friend. This place is WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. Our favorite drink, of course, is the Fuzzy Tauntaun, a spin on the fuzzy navel that uses buzz foam. Made from Szechuan flowers, or buzz buttons as they're more commonly called. This causes a numbing sensation on your lips and in your mouth for a short time, and it can totally freak people out if you don't warn them, so it's a super fun practical joke. Things to know. There's a 45-minute time limit at the cantina, so they can get everyone in who has a reservation. Also, you're not really guaranteed a seat. Unbelievable, right? Yeah, I agree. Not everyone gets the same cantina experience. While some will be seated at those cool half-circle booths in the walls, others will be shown to a stand-up table or the bar where you have to stand up too. You can request a booth, but it's never guaranteed, so be ready for disappointment if you're not a fan of standing while you drink. We're on our way to Disney's Animal Kingdom to Cetuli Canteen. This is space food at its finest, and yes, I'm including Galaxy's Edge in that ranking. Nice big restaurant with indoor and outdoor seating themed with Na'vi meets RDA chic or drab meets arts and crafts, however you want to frame it. This was a new quick service concept for Disney World, customizable bowls, and they really were only a few years too late for the trend taking off. Choose your base, your protein, and your sauce, and off you go. But one of our favorite things on the menu are those cheeseburger pods, of course. These bao buns filled with a mixture that tastes just like a McDonald's cheeseburger have had a storied past here. Super popular menu items at restaurant opening, then relegated to the kids menu, but now back on the adult menu by popular demand. Beware if you have picky eaters though, there's not a French fry in the place. Meals are served with veggie chips. And while you can get a hot dog wrapped in a croissant on the kids menu, your very picky eaters won't recognize the brilliance of those cheeseburger pods. Also, if you're in the mood, you can have green beer here, space beer, year-round. Okay, we're going to Wilderness Lodge for our next restaurant that practically everyone loves. We are talking about Artist Point Storybook Dining with Snow White, or Artist Point Snow White Storybook Dining. I don't know. There's lots of words in this. All you need to know is Artist Point and Storybook Dining. Now, this restaurant used to be Artist Point, the fancy signature restaurant, which was sometimes great and sometimes a disaster. But now, as a character meal, it seems to have really found its groove. Here you're going to meet Snow White, the evil queen, Dopey, and Grumpy. Those are tough characters to find. And dinner is a set of shared appetizers served in a lovely little tree stand kind of thingy, very aesthetically pleasing. Then a choice of several a la carte entrees and a shared dessert, also served on your tree. This restaurant isn't currently open, but in the before times, the entrees were really good. Prime rib, an excellent vegetarian gnocchi, and more. The unique specialty drinks here are super fun as well. There are a couple of non-alcoholic options your kids will love. There's like color changing involved. But the best part, in my opinion, is the after dinner surprise. Your server will come to your table with the huntsman's box in which he was supposed to bring Snow White's heart to the evil queen. Gross. But instead, it's filled with chocolate hearts and caramel corn. Ah, much better. And it's all mysterious-like with dry ice and all. So it's really fun and theatrical, cool addition to the meal. It's one of those more than the sum of its parts kind of things. Well done, Disney, for adding something that's so inexpensive for you, but so fun for us. All right, next on the list of Disney World restaurants practically everyone loves is Hoopy Doo Review at Fort Wilderness. Now, I don't want to hear it from you. Everybody loves this place. Even if you're a grouchy old grump, you still love Hoopy Doo. I know the food isn't good. I know it's super expensive, but you can't help but smile when you go here. This is a dinner show. It's a massive 2-story log cabin playhouse filled with tables set with tin plates and checkered napkins. Pioneer Hall players soon arrive, entertaining the audience with slapstick comedy, funny songs, audience participation, a whole bunch of fun. And then you get to play a washboard at the end with a spoon. How great is that? Now, you are here for the show, not for the food. But the food isn't all that bad. It's all you can eat: fried chicken, ribs, baked beans, mashed potatoes, some killer cornbread, and more, all served up in literal buckets. Plus, you have your choice of all you can drink fountain beverages, sangria, it's not very good, but still, it's wine, and beer. Now, this is a classic, a tradition for so many Disney guests. It's been around forever. It's beloved by many. Sadly, it closed with the pandemic last year and does not yet have a reopening date, but if you're able to snag a seat on an upcoming trip, it's well worth a visit to Pioneer Hall. I don't care what anybody says. Tips here: there are 3 seating levels priced differently. We recommend the second tier seating. It's still a good view, but you're paying less money. Tier 3 is even less money, but it means you're sitting behind a pillar or upstairs on the sides of the balcony, seated on a twisty stool because your back is actually to the stage while you're eating. It's very strange. Book tier 2 or 1 if you can. Okay, there's our 15 restaurants practically everyone loves. Now we are going to go to the dark side. We are going to talk about the 9 restaurants that a lot of people hate. Okay, here we go. We're going to start with Diamond Horseshoe. This one's a little controversial. This is in Magic Kingdom's Frontierland. A lot of you don't even know it exists. I honestly feel real bad for Diamond Horseshoe. It's an afterthought, even though the atmosphere is very, very cool. It's basically Disney World's version of the Golden Horseshoe in Disneyland, except without the yummy ice cream. Now, for years, this spot was primarily used only as a dance party location at hard ticket events, but in recent years, it's been opened seasonally as an overflow table service restaurant. At times, the menu is downright anemic or serving the same food as Liberty Tree Tavern next door, but sometimes it blossoms and has all kinds of barbecue options on the menu, including platters and all-you-can-eat saloon feasts. I think this place is less disliked and more unknown. People just don't know it's there. So the food is nothing to write home about, but if you've never been, it can be fun to sit inside and dine in this old-timey music hall atmosphere. Now, it's not open at the moment, so you want to keep an eye on that newsletter, see when this one reopens. Next on our list, Rainforest Cafe. This is a third-party owned restaurant run by Landry's Restaurants, and it lands on our worst list for a few reasons. First, it's super expensive with just food. Second, it's a chain, so you might have one in your local mall. Why waste a Disney meal on something you can get at home? Third, it's super loud and can scare some kids if they're not anticipating lifelike audio animatronic animals and simulated thunderstorms every few minutes. For some, this restaurant is a dream come true. For others, it's a nightmare. So you decide. All right, next on the list of restaurants everyone seems to hate, Boatwright's Dining Hall. Now, this makes me so sad to put this restaurant here, but whenever I say how much I like it in my videos, you all just tell me how much you hate it, so alas, it's found its way onto this list. This is the only table service spot left in the Port Orleans resorts in Disney World, and you'll find it at the Port Orleans Riverside location. The theme here is boat building with a bayou overtone. Yep, you're going to find lots of southern favorites here. Think Mississippi Delta and Louisiana Bayou. I think the dislike here arises from this being out of the way. There's no easy transportation here except a bus, or you can take a boat from Disney Springs, and many have said they've had less than memorable meals here. But on all my visits, I've been pleased. It's not gourmet, but it's good and well worth a visit if you're staying at these resorts, if they ever reopen, fingers crossed. So yeah, I guess you glean that Boat Rights isn't open. The resort it's in isn't even open, so keep an eye on that newsletter. All right, next up, Catalina Eddie's Rosie's All-American Cafe. I don't even know the difference. They're basically the same to me. They are two different restaurants. They're next to each other. And longtime DFB viewers know how I feel about Sunset Ranch Market in Hollywood Studios. I mean, why? All outdoors. It's basically untenable for half the year in Orlando because it's either pouring rain or swelteringly hot. Who wants to eat a hockey puck burger and fries in 90-degree, 100% humidity weather when you can just go to an air-conditioned quick service spot that has better food instead? So, the food at these spots is going to be uninspired. Puffy quick service pizzas, burgers, fries. Sometimes you can find something cool here like a fried green tomato sandwich or onion petals, but it's not guaranteed, so if you really want to try this spot, keep an eye on DFB to see when something interesting pops up on the menu. If you do eat here, expect outdoor queuing and seating. There are at least umbrellas over the tables, and crowds, because this is the first counter service restaurant many guests come across in Hollywood Studios, and it's often the choice of folks who aren't lucky enough to watch DFB Guide. All right, next on our list of restaurants practically everyone doesn't like. Doesn't love? I don't know, whatever you want to say, is ESPN Club. This is on the boardwalk. It's a sports bar with plenty of TVs, lots of TVs. You're not going to miss a minute of the game. There are even TVs in the bathrooms. Yes, literally every stall has a television. Food here is going to be Applebee's or Chili's quality. Burgers, nachos, hot dogs. Now, fancy burgers, nachos, and hot dogs, but still burgers, nachos, and hot dogs. It's a good spot to watch the game and is usually open late. Sometimes they've got surprising menu items, so it's great for when everywhere else is closed. Otherwise, there's much better food within a stone's throw over in Epcot. Or even at Beach Club, Yacht Club, other restaurants on the boardwalk. Yeah. Now, ESPN Club is not open at the moment, so keep an eye on our newsletter for when that guy reopens. All right, next on our list of Disney World restaurants practically everyone dislikes, hates, doesn't love is Maya Grill. Now, this is a forgotten restaurant, isn't it? It's at Coronado Springs Resort. Used to be the only table service before Rick's was turned into a sports bar. Now it's overshadowed even more by Toledo, Three Bridges, and Dahlia Lounge over there at Grandestino Tower, which is the new tower that they've just built. I guess I can't say just, it's been open for a while now, next to the shorter Coronado Springs buildings. Now, theming at Maya Grill is the Aztec pyramids of Mexico, and food is generally the same type of thing you're going to see at San Angel Inn in Epcot's Mexico. They're actually owned and run by the same company. But San Angel is hit or miss, and that's in Epcot, so why in the world would you trek all the way out to Coronado Springs to have the same dubious experience? You wouldn't. That's why people don't go there. Now, the bright spot is the drinks. There are La Cava del Tequila level drinks here, and those are excellent. But Maya Grill's probably not worth your trek to Coronado Springs unless you are staying there. All right, next on our list of Disney World restaurants nobody really likes, PizzaFari and PizzaRizzo. I won't bore you with too many details since we've talked about these restaurants on the channel plenty. PizzaFari in Animal Kingdom and PizzaRizzo in Hollywood Studios are fast food pizza joints, serving up those mass-produced, pillowy Disney pizzas that Mark Summers outed on Unwrapped. While there are other menu items, and some of them are actually decent, the majority of folks are going to get that pizza, which your kids might love, but there are so many counter service locations with better food that your kids will like just as much. That said, the atmosphere at these spots is fun and compelling, especially the Muppets motif over at PizzaRizzo. So if pizza is your kid's favorite, no contest, and you like the Muppets, I'll go for it. All right, next on our list, restaurant Marrakesh. Marrakesh is fine. It's in Morocco, in Epcot, way in the back. It's a relatively authentic Moroccan menu, and that turns off a lot of visitors who aren't into that type of cuisine. That's why they actually have to station somebody at the front of the pavilion with pictures of the food at Marrakesh. to try to entice people to go there. Now, the cool parts of Restaurant Marrakesh. First up, there's a belly dancer. There's live music. It's super cool, but that only happens during the before times. The restaurant's not open at the moment, and who knows if the belly dancer and the live music are going to come back. But also, the decor here is a true star. Incredible mosaics and carvings, sumptuous upholstery. You can tell that the King of Morocco was involved in the choices here, and he literally was. But the service isn't always great. I've had a couple of good visits, but my last visit was kind of a bummer. And the hot goss is that while this pavilion and all of its restaurants used to be run by a third-party company, the same company that runs Paradiso 37 in Disney Springs, it's been turned over to Disney World officially. So things may be different when this restaurant reopens. We'll be there to keep you updated. And finally, we're going to head over to Lotus Blossom Cafe in the China Pavilion in Epcot. This is Chinese counter service. It's typical Chinese takeout, maybe a little less great than your favorite place at home. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's nothing that stands out either. And when you're in a park with so much good food, it's hard to spend your money and time here. Seating is kind of hybrid, indoor, outdoor, but it's basically your typical counter service joint with pot stickers. So there's the tea on a few of Disney World's most consistently beloved restaurants. Note, we didn't talk about all the great restaurants in Disney World. There are so many. These are just the ones that seem to be universally lauded. And of course, its most widely panned locations. But I know you have opinions about all of these. So let us know in the comments if you've been to these spots, what your experience was, and if you'd go again. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.